Hello and welcome to the Django GraphQL Query Fundamentals course. My name is Xander. This tutorial is part of a whole course playlist available for free on YouTube. For deeper learning, the extended course is available for purchase at Udemy. Now you'll find all the resources and links in the video description. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for weekly promotions, discounts, and Udemy course giveaways. In this tutorial, we'll focus on how to define fields inside of a Django model and how to choose the right data type for those fields. Each field in a Django model represents a column in the database table, and the data type you choose helps define what kind of values that column can store, whether that be text, numbers, dates, or booleans. So the goal of this tutorial is to map all of the common fields that's defined within our ERD diagram, our database design, to our Django models and select the correct data type for each of our fields. Within each of the entities in the ERD diagram, we can see that we have defined the field name and also the field type. Remember, the field type defines the type of data the field can store in the database. So here we have an integer, which indicates a whole number. So this indicates that this field category ID will store integer values. Whereas, for example, the description field, here we define text. So it looks like this field will be storing text-based data. The isDigital, we specified Boolean, so the isDigital field will store Boolean values, true or false. Choosing the right field type is important and is one of the first steps in shaping how our data will behave. If you head over to Google, type in model field reference, the top option should be the Django documentation model field reference. From here, on the right-hand side, this then provides us a nice list of field types. So there's a subheading here on the right-hand side, field types, and you can now see a big list of different type of field types we can assign to individual fields. So here's a nice list of common field types you might use in your database. So here's a nice list of starter field types that you should familiarize yourself with and what they are used for. And that can be further baked down into 3 or 4 different categories of field types: text fields, number fields, date and time fields, and Boolean. This isn't all the data types, but it is a good starting point to help you familiarize yourself with the data types that you're going to need to assign to fields to build your database tables. Now, to further complicate things, the ERD diagram shows the data types as native PostgreSQL data types. So what's happening here is that in Django, we have our Django data types. So we specify, for example, our Django data types. Let's go for character field here, so char field. So that's how we would specify the character field within our model. Now what's going to happen here is that when we migrate our models to our Postgres database, that needs to be translated into the language that Postgres uses for its data types. And if we go back to our ERD diagram, you can see that that's going to relate back to something called a character varying data type in Postgres database. Now, we don't necessarily need to know too much about the translation between Django data type terminology and Postgres, but it's important to be aware of it if you are defining your database for production. Right, so let's put this into action. Let's go ahead and start to define fields within our models. Let's start with the primary key. You may have noticed in every single one of our tables, we have a primary key called ID, and that's going to be an auto-incrementing number. That is going to be a unique number that's assigned to every single record that's inserted into each of our tables. And that's going to help us uniquely identify individual records in the table. Now, in actual fact, Django creates this automatically for us, so we don't actually need to define the primary key ourselves. So Django automatically adds the field called ID to every model. And this ID is auto-incrementing and it acts as the primary key, as I described. If you take a look at the app file here, we have defined the default data type for this field, and that's going to be a big auto field. So this was just automatically added when we created the inventory app, and you can see the default field for primary keys is big auto field. So we can go back now to the Django documentation. We can then look and search for big auto field to learn more about it. So we can see that this is a 64-bit integer. It is like an auto field. So I can click on auto field, and that tells us that the auto field is guaranteed to fit numbers from 1 to a very large number. So it's a very large set of numbers that we're using. And in addition to that, this field is automatically incremented every time we add a new record. So it starts at 1, and then it will just continue incrementing for every single record that we add to ensure that each record has a unique number assigned in the ID field. Okay, so I've now gone ahead and replicated some of the fields from the category design into our model. So notice that we start with the name of the field, all in lowercase. We then define models to access the data type we want to assign to this field. In this case, it's going to be a character field. And then we need to make sure that we follow the specification of a character field. So back in our Django documentation, we search for character field. And then from here, we can determine any requirements or expectations or any additional properties that we need to assign to ensure that we correctly set up our character field. So this is a string field for small or large size strings. For a large amount of text, we should use the text field. That's what we're told here. And you can see that the character field has the following extra arguments. And one of them is the maximum length. Now we're told here that the max length is enforced at the database level and it's required. So we are going to need to specify it. So therefore we set the maximum length to 50. So 50 here is describing how many characters we can store within this field. So we set a maximum character length of 50 characters for the name field. So we simply just follow that pattern for all of the fields. So slug, here we're going to specify the slug field. So that's a specific field that's going to allow us to define URL-friendly strings to use potentially in the URL of our browser, our slug field. And then we have isActive, which is going to be a Boolean field. And then we have a level, which is going to be a small integer field. So if we take a look at the small integer field, we can learn more about it. So we have a few different versions of it. So we have the small integer field here. You can see that this is going to be a field that is going to be able to store a number between minus 32,768 to 32,768. So of course, if you do need a number, or you know that you're going to need a number that's higher than that, of course, you're going to need to change that data type to something that's going to support your particular number system. So in our case, the field that we've chosen for the small integer field, this field will only store the value, say 1 to 10. That's just a specification that we have for our application. So I've gone ahead and created some more fields based upon our ERD design for a promotion event table. So we have a name, which is a character field, has a max length of 50. We've set the start date and end date. So we specified this as a date time field. So this field will store both the date and the time in one field. And then we have a price reduction field, which is going to be an integer field, so a whole number. Okay, so something a little bit different in the product model. We have our common fields that we've already utilized, character fields, slug fields. Now we have a text field. So this is going to store a larger amount of text than the character field. Let's just remove blank for true for now. So we have a digital Boolean, isActive Boolean field created at. So here what we're doing with the created at is that we are specifying auto now add true, which means that we are going to automatically assign the date time to this field whenever we create a new product record. That's going to be automatically generated and then use to insert in that field. Now we also have a updated at to indicate when the record was last updated. For that, we can specify auto now true. So this means that every time the record is saved or updated, this field is set to the current date and time. So auto now add is going to add just once when the record is created. Auto now is going to be automatically generated every time the record is saved or updated. And then finally, we have a decimal field. A decimal field is going to allow me to further specify the maximum amount of digits that's going to be stored in this field. Again, this is a number field, but it's also going to allow me to specify how many decimal places should be included in this data, and that's going to be 2 in my case. So here I'm modeling price. So in my country I have pounds and pence, so here I'll be able to model my data correctly, so £10 10 pence or £11 and 54 pence. So that's going to fit nicely with the max digits and decimal places. But I'm also of course maximizing or specifying the maximum amount of number that I can also include. So if I were to set this to say 4, the maximum number I could place in this field would be 99.99. So that should have given you a quick overview of the data types that we're using in this design, except of course the foreign keys, which we will discuss a little bit later in this module. So I haven't completed the models for each of the tables here because maybe you would like to now have a go yourself. But if you take a look at this module source code, of course you can access all of the code associated to these models. Let's just finish this up by seeing this in action for the models that we have created. So I'm just going to remove fake again from line 39 in the Docker Compose file so that we can actually migrate these to our database. And then I will also go ahead and remove the containers that are currently running. Right, so let's go ahead and recreate our containers. This time, of course, when we migrate, it should now include the fields that we've added for each of the models. So let's go into the inventory database. Go to the exec and let's go for PSQL, the command line for Postgres. Let's set the user to Postgres. That's our user unless you've changed it. And then the database to inventory, again, unless you've changed that name. So let's check to make sure that we have our tables. So it looks like we have migrated correctly. So let's see if we can further inspect the inventory category table. Right, so to inspect the individual table, let's use the D and then the name of the table. And now we can see the fields that have been generated from our model in our database. So the ID, remember that was automatically created by Django. And then we have a name, slug, is active, and level. We can take a look at the data types as well as the restrictions that we created, remember? And that gives us a nice visual overview of what's happened here. We start off with our design. We implement the design within Django models, and then we migrate it to the database. So it gets created in the database. And we can see here, for example, in the category table, the fields that we've defined in our model. So hopefully at this point, you have a fundamental understanding of how to add fields in your Django models, how to choose the right data types, and how those choices affect the structure of our database. As we move forward, we'll start to explore how to connect models together and build relationships between them.